Hello again and welcome to the news. My name is Jeffrey Siambo to present the headlines. Police in Lusaka have arrested a student of DMI St. Eugene University for defaming President Edgar Lungu. The National Union for Small-Scale Farmers of Zambia has described as a mockery to farmers the 60 kwacha the Food Reserve Agency FRA is offering for a 50-kilogram bag of maize. Another news in detail. Police have arrested a 35-year-old student of DMI St. Eugene University in Lusaka for defaming President Edgar Lungu on Facebook. Police spokesperson Esther Katongo says Edward Makai created a Facebook account in the name Royston Edwards M, which he used to author and post defamatory remarks between April and July 2017, targeting President Lungu, Home Affairs Minister Stephen Kampiongo, Minister of Agriculture Dora Selia, and Inspector General of Police Kakuma Kanganja. Others are PF Deputy Secretary General Mumbi Piri and Presidential Press Aide Amos Chanda. Ms. Katongo says the suspect is scheduled to appear in court on Thursday, the 27th of July 2017, for the offense of defamation of the president, which is contrary to Section 59 of Cap 87 of the laws of Zambia. She says the suspect is yet to be slapped with other charges for defaming and use of insulting language against senior government officials and other persons. Ms. Katongo adds that investigations in other cases where people are using social media to make defamatory and insulting remarks have continued. She states that the Zambia police, working in conjunction with ZICTA, have intensified investigations into crimes committed through social media and hope to bring more culprits to book. The police spokesperson has since warned those fond of opening fake accounts on social media using fake particulars that such deceptions will not protect them from prosecutions as law enforcement officers are able to trace their real identity. The Food Reserve Agency FRA has announced that it will buy a 50-kilogram bag of maize at 60 kwacha during the 2017 marketing season. The agency has also set 70 kwacha as the price for a 40-kilogram bag of rice. FRA Board Chairperson Joe Simajela says the agency will only buy 3 commodities for national strategic food reserves, namely white maize, soybeans, and paddy rice, due to logistical and budgetary limitations. Mr. Simajela has told a briefing in Lusaka that the FRA will buy 500,000 tons of maize and 2,100 tons of paddy rice and 20,000 tons of soybeans at a total cost of over 900 million kwacha. He says the prices for this year's marketing season is as a result of prevailing regional prices in view of the good harvests expected from Zambia's traditional export markets such as Zimbabwe, Malawi, and Mozambique, which could impact negatively if significant price deviations are experienced with the Zambian prices. Mr. Simajela has, however, stated that the FRA market price will not in any way disadvantage the private sector, who are expected to purchase a larger share of the 3.6 million metric tons of maize produced as compared to the FRA's 500,000 metric tons. Mr. Simajela adds that the FRA's proposed market price will also ease pressure on the Treasury and marginally reduce the financing gap. Meanwhile, Mr. Simajela says the Food Reserve Agency will no longer sell grain to millers as they are expected to buy their own stocks.
As FRA, our expectation that our farmers would adhere to the general practice of ensuring they clean their farm states to avoid congestion. Of course, our FRA personnel have been trained and are now ready to receive the stock. And also we implore on FRA stakeholders to uphold rationality. I think that's very crucial for us. Prudence, transparency, and accountability, because the role of FRA is to manage this public resource. So we implore on our stakeholders to be rational, even as they bring other engagements which they would want FRA to attend to. I think I'll end on a good note, and just to mention to the press that we are proud as FRA to record for the 5th consecutive year a stock loss of below 1%. I think this is one of our biggest thing we can blow our trumpets on. We have not had any stock loss of more than 1% for the past 5 years. So it is the board's and management's view that as we engage the 2017 marketing process. Actually, the intention is to even bring it lower to 0.5%. So with everybody's support, I think this is something which will be doable. So in ending my briefing, I'll go back just on the prices again so that people are clear. White maize, we're buying 477,900 metric tons at 60 kwacha per 50 kg. Soya beans, we're buying 20,000 metric tons at 130 kwacha per 50 kg bag. And paddy rice, we're buying 2,100 metric tons at 40 kwacha per kg.
And FRA Executive Director Chola Kafuabulula says the agency has a carryover maize stock of 218,000 tons, of which 100,000 tons will be exported.
On the carryover stocks, we are at the moment sitting on 218,000 metric tons. Out of the 218,000 metric tons, you may be aware that 100,000 is going to be exported. So if you ask me whether as a country we are food secure, we are food secure because we are already in the marketing season and we will soon be beefing up our stocks. The budget is not 250 million. The budget for the FRA this year is 942 million kwacha. 942 million kwacha. That is the FRA budget. And as the port chairperson indicated, whatever we have done in terms of our preparedness has been within the resource envelope that has been allocated to us. And that also explains the reason why this year we have reduced our satellite depots to 760 sites, when previously we were operating 1,223 satellite depots. We are working within the resource envelope that has been given to us. We cannot spend what we don't have. So that's exactly why we have reduced the number of satellite depots.
The National Union for Small-Scale Farmers of Zambia, NUSFAS, has described as a mockery to farmers the 60 kwacha the Food Reserve Agency will pay for a 50-kilogram bag of maize. Union Director General Dr. Frank Kayula says government should have instead maintained last year's price of 85 kwacha per 50-kilogram bag to enable farmers realize a profit. Dr. Kayula says it is sad to note that the Food Reserve Agency has gone the private sector way by offering a low price of 60 kwacha. He states that being a government agency, the FRA is supposed to support small-scale farmers who are losing out. Dr. Kayula has since called on the Food Reserve Agency to reconsider the price it is offering. Government has noted the need for professionals in the agricultural sector who will generate new knowledge through research and development that will help meet the sector's growing needs. In a speech read on her behalf by Ministry of Agriculture Permanent Secretary Julius Shawer during the extraordinary general meeting of the Agriculture Institute of Zambia, Agriculture Minister Dora Siliya says professionals in the sector have a huge task of providing expert advice that will help transform the economy. Ms. Siliya says professionals in the sector will also help bring on board appropriate agricultural management systems essential for enhanced food and nutritional security. She has since called for support from the private sector towards the growth of the institute, whose formation, she says, would not have come at a better time than now, when agriculture professionals need to be registered and their professional conduct regulated.
Ladies and gentlemen, knowledge and experience in modern agriculture is important, cannot be overemphasized. Therefore, the creation of a professional body, as AI said, could not have come at a better time than now. We need professionalism in all aspects of agriculture to meet the growing needs of the sector. It is my hope that professionalism in the sector will bring on board appropriate agricultural management systems essential for enhanced food and nutrition security and also to help transform this very important sector. Let me reiterate that as a profession in the sector, as professionals in the sector, you have a huge task of generating new knowledge through research and development and providing expert advice to the sector. Let me assure you, government support and indeed the ministry work very, very closely with the council to help actualize the various interventions that the council will come up with. We are aware that achieving the transformation cannot be achieved by government alone, but requires concerted efforts of all stakeholders in the sector.
And speaking earlier, Agriculture Institute of Zambia President Professor Kavwanga Yambayamba called for funding towards agricultural research, as lack of funding has resulted in the stagnation of the sector's productivity levels.
The enactment of the Agricultural Institute of Zambia Act means that the era of unregulated agricultural research and practice has come to an end. The Agricultural Institute of Zambia will invigorate, focus, and well-coordinated agricultural practice and research in all areas, such as crops research, livestock, fisheries research, forestry, and so on, in order to assist government direct policy to achieve its goals. This entails that the agricultural professionals should brace up for the demanding tasks ahead. Guests of honor, ladies and gentlemen, many people may ask, why should the agricultural professionals be regulated? Regulation of the profession, supported by legislative acts, is aimed at protection of the physical and psychological health and safety of the public from incompetent, unethical, and impaired practices of the profession. By regulation, we are protecting those who produce the food, the farmers. We are protecting those who process the food. We are protecting the NGO and international organizations that require the services of agricultural professionals.
Health Minister Dr. Chitalu Chilufya says a team of doctors has been constituted to separate the Siamese twins joined on the stomach who are admitted to the University Teaching Hospital. The Siamese twins were born 2 months ago. Dr. Chilufya has told journalists that the twins will be separated once they are about 6 to 9 months old. More in this report.
The University Teaching Hospital is the country's biggest referral hospital. All sorts of diseases, illnesses, infections, and conditions are attended to at this hospital. With the country's growing disease burden, this calls for political will to ensure an efficient healthcare system that is responsive to the health needs of the people. This political will on the part of government is evidenced by the recent number of visits the Minister of Health has made to the University Teaching Hospital. One of the recent visits made by the minister was to visit First Republican President Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, who was admitted for minor ailments and has since been discharged. The minister also visited some of the victims of the recent accident at Monali Hills in which 11 people died. However, today's visit to the hospital by Dr. Chitalu Chilufya is very significant as it involves 2 very special patients with very peculiar conditions. Small, fragile, and innocent is how these 2 babies look at first glance. However, these twins are just no ordinary twins, as they are the latest case of Siamese twins at the University Teaching Hospital. The twins will, however, be given an opportunity to grow up living normal separate lives, as Dr. Chilufya gave an update on how far the hospital and the doctors have gone in preparing for the separation of these twins.
We have Siamese twins that are about 2 months old in the hospital. And I'm very happy to note today in the report from the Siamese superintendent that we have constituted a team that will separate these Siamese twins between 6 and 9 months. We'll pass through to see the Siamese twins. And again, that shows that the level of care at the University Teaching Hospital has improved. And I must use this opportunity to note that public confidence in our University Teaching Hospitals is being restored at a very rapid pace.
Nurse in charge explained the condition of the twins since they were admitted.
Siamese twins. Our Siamese twins. Yes, we have Bupe and Mapalo. Bupe is twin 2 and Bupe is twin. Mapalo is twin 1. Yes, they've been with us for just over 2 months. They came from Kawambwa. They were delivered by cesarean section. Yeah, so they are growing very well, feeding well, and mom and dad are here. Yes. And we are constantly in touch with Kawambwa just to update them.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you.
They are both female.
And the minister also used the opportunity to tour the elderly people section, which is currently under construction. UTH Senior Medical Superintendent Dr. Clarice Chiluba explains the significance of having the elderly people section.
To inform the public that now we are in the process of making space for the elderly who are supposed to be taken care of. We need to have a hospital which is also elderly friendly. We don't want our fathers, our grandfathers, to be always on the stairs going to the clinics and also in the lifts. So we want to make a very comfortable place which is near from where they are dropping off from, so that they could be attended to just from there.
It is therefore hoped that the construction of the elderly people section will help reduce on congestion at one of Zambia's biggest referral hospital. And for the two Siamese twins, the prayer is that they will undergo a successful operation that will enable them to live happy and healthy lives. Nakaonga reporting for Q News in Lusaka.
The Zambia National Education Coalition, ZANEC, has challenged government, civil society organizations and the community at large to take full responsibility in ensuring that Zambia achieves the Sustainable Development Goal number 4. SDG number 4 aims at ensuring inclusive and quality education for all and promoting lifelong learning. ZANEC chairperson Kavika Kakunta says accessible and inclusive quality education is a transformational ingredient which is central to the realization of sustainable development goals. He says the type of education which is provided to learners in the country should move up the value chain and be able to compete favorably in the Southern African region and at global level. Mr. Kakunta has disclosed that the coalition's assessment of its third national implementation framework of the education sector since last year highlights the lack of participation of CSOs and citizens, thereby posing a weakness in the formulation of sectorial plans and impacting negatively on the education sector. ZANEC this week joins other civil society organizations in commemorating the Global Action Week for Education under the theme Accountability for SDG 4 and Citizen Participation.
We need to ensure, as civil society, working hand in hand with government, we need to ensure that we participate in the process of ensuring that we provide quality education for this country. And one of the key issues that has been identified as a key measure, if we are to attain the SDG 4 by 2030, is that there must be civil society participation. And I think as civil society, under the coalition, the Zambia National Education Coalition, we have come up with quite a number of activities that will be taking place this week in order for us to be able to push the agenda on the provision of quality education for all. But it is also important for our viewers to understand that education is a very critical component if we are to realize sustainable development. And I think that government has been very strategic in terms of bringing us on board as civil society. And I think we have also enjoyed the engagement with government, more especially that a number of key issues that border on transparency and accountability and how we provide effective monitoring of our education systems has been quite very clear. And I think Ministry of General Education has been quite receptive to us as civil society. And I think that is one thing that we want further to commend the Ministry of General Education for that positive move.
The Zambia Congress of Trade Unions, ZCTU Secretary General Cosmas Mukuka has bemoaned the lack of sufficient funding to the education sector. Mr. Mukuka notes with concerns that some government institutions in the education sector have not received funding since last year, a move which has affected efficient service delivery. He states that the issue of insufficient funding cuts across the education sector, leading to some departments failing to function. Mr. Mukuka notes that this is what is affecting the effective execution of information and communication technology exams in government schools because they lack resources and equipment such as computers to effectively roll out the program. He says this requires very urgent interventions from government if the education sector is to thrive. Mr. Mukuka has appealed to the Ministry of General Education to liaise with the Ministry of Finance for enhanced funding.
The best thing is that when the pronouncement or it was made that we should be examining ICT. Such are the measures we could have put in place. Probably what is expected now is for the Ministry of Education to work closely with the Ministry of Finance so that they can still find a way in which we can make it cheaper and easier to order these computers. Because now, if that is not done, some of the schools may not have funding. So funding levels have been very difficult in schools now. So the best thing is just to have a deliberate move to open up for such. You may get a story that some institutions in education were last funded, maybe last year. Others were funded early this year. They are operating without finances. So what is just needed is proper intervention of the government to ensure that maybe deliberate funding is released to some of these areas. We have received that. We have also gotten reports from some colleagues in some of the government departments who have also not received funding for a long time. So the issue of funding cuts across education. It goes beyond most of the government departments. Of course,
the Export-Import Bank of India, Exim Bank, says it is ready to fund an additional line of credit for the completion of the 650 health posts in Zambia. Exim Bank Chief General Manager Nadi Panjatan says the bank is simply waiting for instructions from India's Ministry of External Affairs. Mr. Panjatan says loopholes have been sealed off to prevent a recurrence of the termination of contracts in future by choosing the right contractors. The Chief General Manager, who was flanked by Exim Bank Managing Director David Raskuna, said this when he called on Zambia's High Commissioner to India, Judith Kapichimpanga, at the Zambian Chancery in New Delhi.
On the choice of contractor excellency, actually there may be a small misunderstanding here. At the meeting of the heads of mission, the new guidelines which the government has implemented from December 2015 have actually tightened the process.
It is imperative that those health posts are finished because we appreciate the assistance that the Indian government has given to Zambia. But if those projects won't go to their fruitful conclusion, it will be an exercise in futility. And also, on the other hand, our progression in terms of primary health care delivery will be thwarted.
Yes.
Yes. So we are very eager to know when this funding will be extended to Zambia. We have not yet heard from Ministry of External Affairs, but we are in touch. We have started talking. We are yet to get a date from them when we could call and call on them to have a roundtable discussion.
And Mrs. Kapichimpanga says Zambia appreciates the Indian government for extending the line of credit to construct health posts in the country, which have already started saving lives. She says the country is anxiously waiting for additional funds to complete the health posts, especially in the northern half of the country, where the contract for Angelic International was cancelled. This is contained in a statement made available to Q News by First Secretary, Press and Tourism at the Zambian Mission in New Delhi, India, Bangwe Navile. Finance Minister Felix Mtati says the government's economic recovery program with the International Monetary Fund IMF is on course. Mr. Mtati says government is doing everything possible to see to it that it continues the economic and social reforms that are so vital to sustaining Zambia's fragile economy. He says the overall economic assessment of the IMF is quite favorable and gives the government and people of Zambia hope of a better future. Mr. Mtati adds that government is scheduled to meet the board of the International Monetary Fund next month to finalize the economic stabilization and growth program. He states that government has had cordial and fruitful interactions with the fund so far.
I think, put it this way, we have been very focused on achieving stability of the economy, and the economic fundamentals thus far are indicating that the economy is stabilizing. Whatever variable you look at, whether it's inflation, exchange rate, they are all being stable. And we have always said to the people of Zambia that the program we have is a Zambia program. We constructed a Zambia Plus program outlining the reforms that we needed to undertake, most of which we have undertaken. Outlining the policies that we needed to undertake, most of which we have undertaken. And the basis of our engagement with IMF is on the basis of a homegrown economic stabilization and growth program. They were here a couple of months ago. We agreed on most of the issues. Substantial convergence. Like any process, there's to be the commas and the full stops to do. As we stand today, we are on course for the program to be taken to the board in August.
Association of Building and Civil Engineering Contractors immediate past president Michael Nyirenda has called for the 20% subcontracting policy for local contractors to be fully effected. It is government's policy that a minimum of 20% of the works on all road contracts awarded by the Road Development Agency RDA should be executed by Zambian-owned companies in line with the shareholding structure specified in the Citizens Economic Empowerment Act No. 9 of 2006, whose overall goal is to contribute to sustainable economic development by building capacity in Zambian-owned companies. Speaking to Q News in an interview, Mr. Nyirenda notes that the 20% policy is not being implemented and adhered to. Mr. Nyirenda has noted with concern that most road projects are still being awarded to foreign contractors despite the 20% policy being in place. He has also proposed that government considers extending the policy to all construction works being done in various sectors rather than restricting it to road projects. Legal Aid Board Director Anderson Ngulube has advised Zambians to adopt legal insurance services for safe economic viability. Mr. Ngulube notes that Zambians are on a daily basis likely to encounter legal battles, with only a few being capable of affording reliable legal representation. Speaking during the NICO Insurance Legal Expenses Plan Breakfast launch event, Mr. Ngulube states that legal fees have become exorbitant such that ordinary citizens cannot afford. He says with the legal insurance services which have since been launched today, Zambians can secure their legal expenses in future by adopting the culture of legal insurance.
Sometimes there is a misnomer that, or we tend to forget, when we talk about this field, the focus is usually on the poor and those that can afford. But there's also a group in between who are not too poor for them to be granted legal aid and not economically well capacitated for them to go on Cairo Road. And they are tossed between legal aid board and the private sector, and usually they have to go it alone to court. And I'm sure that once this product is launched, that will be a thing of the past and they will have somewhere to run to. May I further add that our mandate is reaffirmed by our mission statement, which is to provide effective and quality legal services to persons whose means are inadequate in order to promote access to justice.
And speaking at the same launch, NICO Insurance Chief Executive Officer Jeffrey Chirwa says the insurance company will donate 2% of its premiums towards legal education in the country as its corporate social responsibility. He says ordinary Zambians should be imparted with knowledge about legal insurance for them not to wait until they are faced with legal battles and start panicking. Mr. Chirwa has further stated that the insurance company is targeting to sell 10,000 legal expense plans to individuals and 800 plans to SMEs and other corporate outfits.
To be the most distinct short-term insurer by service and innovation. It is our belief in this regard that the product you are launching today will add value in the lives of both individuals and corporates. Legal insurance, also known as legal expenses plan, is an insurance policy that covers a customer against potential costs of legal action brought by or against them. This covers legal expenses they would normally have to pay out of their pocket. The plan is a before the event one, meaning that the event which triggers legal action should not be an existing one at the time of taking up the policy. The plan is basically a cover for legal advice, assistance, and court appearances. It is available to individual customers, trade unions for their members, not-for-profit organizations including clubs and associations, and other groupings, including but not limited to small to medium enterprises, SMEs.
The legal expenses plan will provide legal insurance cover to ordinary Zambians, with the lowest cover being 35 kwacha per month for unforeseen legal matters. Legal coverage will include civil, criminal, labor, family and contractual matters. The Zambia Bureau of Standards, ZABS, says it has initiated talks with the Health Professions Council of Zambia to explore possibilities of enhancing collaboration to ensure that health institutions in the country calibrate their medical instruments for improved health service delivery. ZABS Head Marketing and Public Relations, Hezo Zulu, tells Q News that periodic calibration of medical instruments can enhance accuracy in measurements, thereby promoting efficiency and effectiveness in the delivery of health services. Mrs. Zulu states that ZABS recognizes the important role the Health Professions Council plays in the regulating and licensing health institutions in the country, including training institutions and teaching health sciences. She says it is for this reason that ZABS has felt duty-bound to engage the Council to identify better ways of compelling health facilities to periodically calibrate their instruments. To end QTV 10 p.m. news, the headlines. Police in Lusaka have arrested a student of DMI St. Eugene University for defaming President Edgar Lungu. And the Food Reserve Agency, FRA, says it will buy a 50-kilogram bag of maize at 60 kwacha during the 2017 marketing season. That's all we have for you tonight. Be sure to join us for more news. My name is Jeffrey Ziambo. Bye-bye.